So I don't remember exactly the description I made for this class, but I remember there was something referring to enjoyment as really a form of letting go. And I was exploring that a bit this morning, and like I imagine many of you, spent some time with a snow shovel. And it occurred to me, to observe the possibility of enjoyment in that experience. And one of the things I ran up against almost immediately is an enjoyment killer. That sense of it taking time. That phrase itself contains so much. This is taking time. It's like it's depriving me of time. That whole perspective, that whole frame of reference, which is rooted in the sense of scarcity. The viewpoint creates a sense of scarcity. Like there's not enough time, and this is taking time. It also puts the experience somehow outside of the desirable, and in that category of that my mind so often puts things of all the different aspects of life that somehow detract from what is really living, which seems to consist of the things I want or choose or endow. Really, the mind endows certain things with value and it devalues others. So snow shoveling somehow gets in the devalued category. And as I just became aware of that attitude, there was the possibility of dropping it and taking a different one. Just realizing the shift of view that enjoyment can provide. And there's a certain kind of letting go right in that. Letting go of the conditioned attitude. This takes time. This deprives me in some way. We can't let go of it until we actually see it. See it that it's there, and second of all, see it that it's not true on some fundamental level. I know on Friday I didn't really have enough time to shovel in terms of getting to work and seeing clients, and as the case was, it got colder through the day, and what was kind of very heavy and wet in the morning started to freeze to ice and became unmovable. So that was its own sort of letting go. Well, I guess this is going to stay. But today the snow was quite fluffy. There was not a lot of reason, it seems, for aversion there. So it was a little easier to kind of let the sense of scarcity go. And as a matter of fact, I had plenty of time. It wasn't there wasn't really anything real about the scarcity. It was just a feeling. It was just a habit of mind. And so there it is. Putting the snow shovel in, lifting it up, tossing it over the railing of the deck, or pushing it under. And just in the moment of kind of letting go, there was a different experience of the snow shoveling. It was going to take the time it took. And this could be my life for now, shoveling snow. And kind of watching it fly off the deck. And a number of other kind of reflections came to mind. I'm not sure if they exactly constitute enjoyment, but there was a bit of gratitude that I'm physically capable of doing this, you know? That I have the capacity to stay in my house because I can do this sort of thing. That's a little bit of a cognitive thing, that sort of reflection, but it's nonetheless helpful. It's nonetheless helpful. It's a dimension of enjoyment. To just enjoy the capacity of my body. And another thing was kind of apparent to me. Our dog Kiva doesn't really like the way that the snow falls off the roof onto the deck. It makes quite a boom. And we have solar panels. And I admit, when we put in the solar panels, it was, of course, the right place. It's the south-facing plane of the house, but didn't really think about the fact that all that snow would come down on the deck and have to be removed. But, you know, Kiva doesn't understand what that booming is when something slides off the solar panels and lands on the deck. So there was just a kind of an appreciation of understanding that maybe I have that she doesn't, that this is safe, that it's okay. She, on the other hand, went down into her yard. Despite her anxiety, I got her out of the house, and she went down there and proceeded to do these wonderful kinds of back rubs in the snow. You know, sort of like when you're a kid and you do snow angels. She just gets down there and flops around and makes a big dent in the snow, and it was utterly delightful to watch. I can't say that I got down and did the same thing. I, of course, could have. But vicariously, it was lovely to see just that kind of play and chase her around the yard a little bit. So that isn't the actual shoveling, but again, it's like just the potential of enjoyment. I got tired, I have to say. This seems to go with being older. You know, doing that sort of physical labor, I get tired and things ache. You know, my back aches a little, my wrists ache a little. It wasn't too bad today because the snow was light, but as the day went on and it got heavier and more slid off the panels and it was a bit more wet, it got heavier. And so there's this element of achiness. And again, it was like, what's the possibility of enjoyment here? It's so easy to become a grumpy old man. I can see the potential there, you know, in the achiness, you know, in the way that kids love the snow and older people don't. Precisely because kids see this, well, the snow often means a snow day, for one. That's part of the immense joy. But they see the potential for play, and maybe other people see work. But just what is the potential there of enjoyment? I'm not sure I enjoy the achiness, but there's something. It's hard to put my finger on. There's something just in moving that snow that is enjoyable. It's life. It's life in New England. It's life in the North. And it's a kind of a self-care. And it's a care for Kate, who had to go to work, didn't have time to shovel. Though it tends to be my job anyway. There's just something there. It brings me kind of to some of the points from last week about sufficiency. There's some way that we privilege certain activities as being worthwhile and of value, and I'm not sure what the word is, deprivilege, devalue, I guess that's the right word, devalue other experiences. That creates to craving and a sense of insufficiency and just the need to accumulate. I notice it frequently around time. And yet when I really notice it, there's something wholesome. There's something decent about giving each thing the time that it needs and not undervaluing, not devaluing the tasks of living that include vacuuming, washing the dishes, dusting, whatever it is, you know what they are. There's something in us that devalues that, thinks we have better things to do. So just the simplicity of doing the work, maintaining one's life. There's a quiet satisfaction in it, I think, if you get out of the mind's way of devaluing it. After all, this is what most of life is, not necessarily shoveling snow, but things like shoveling snow. Preparing to go to bed, going to bed, getting up, preparing food, eating it, using the bathroom, showering, getting dressed, driving somewhere, and so forth. It seems to make up the majority of this time we spend in this world. We might as well enjoy it. And let go of what I think of as just the sense of self, which so oftentimes is present when we devalue certain activities and value other ones. It's really our sense of self that's devalued by shoveling the snow and is valued by doing some important piece of work that other people praise us for or pay us for or whatever. There's some sense of valuing things according to whether they enhance our self or they detract from it. There's something there, and so enjoyment frequently involves letting go of that whole point of view. Being open to the ordinary. Even delighting in the ordinary. And perhaps, there's something about aging where you feel like, okay, I've done this ordinary thing for so many years now. Ugh. And as the energy depletes, there's a little more ugh to it. Does it have to be there? I find at any given moment it doesn't. Generally, it doesn't have to be there, the ugh. If we catch ourselves in that devaluing moment, and if we let go of it, As I noted in the meditation, what we actually enjoy is often presence. It's our presence in what we're doing that is the foundation of enjoyment. In being present to the experience of shoveling snow, there is some enjoyment there. It's not about the intrinsically enjoyable activity of shoveling snow versus making snow angels. Maybe there's some intrinsically more greater joy in the snow angel just because it's so useless, delightfully useless. And work so often falls in that have to and useful category. Nonetheless, it's the presence that gives things their enjoyment, including something as simple as the breath, including something as simple as the body. Meditation is the laboratory of this, I think, of seeing how presence alters an experience.